I'm joined now by Jing Ulrich of JPMorgan Chase. Jing, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. So, as we were hearing there, U.S. lawmakers gearing up to vote on legislation that would let American companies petition for higher duties on imports of Chinese goods. If that bill is passed, how is it going to impact on the world economy?
Well, if the bill were passed, it would seriously strain the relationship between China and the U.S. It would also damage, frankly, the U.S. consumers, because China is one of the biggest exporters to the U.S., and U.S. consumers certainly purchase a lot of Chinese goods. So we could see inflation going higher if tariffs were imposed on Chinese exports to the U.S.
Let me ask you, Jing, will a rising yuan and appreciating Chinese currency do much to narrow the trade deficit between the U.S. and China?
I don't think so. If China were to revalue the currency, say tomorrow or the next week, I certainly don't think that would help significantly reduce the deficit the U.S. runs with China. The two countries have a very important symbiotic relationship. I think to reduce the trade tension, China and the U.S. need to think about ways on how to expand bilateral trade. For example, China needs a lot of high-tech products from the U.S. China also imports a huge amount of agricultural products as well. So the expansion of high-tech products into China from the U.S. and increase agricultural exports to China would also help lessen the trade tension between the two countries.
So tell me, Jing, can anything be done to encourage China to modify its exchange policy?
Well, since June 19th, we've seen the Chinese currency actually drifting upward. We've seen a 2% appreciation against the U.S. dollar already in the last 3 to 4 months. And before year end, we're actually looking for the currency to appreciate another 2%, reaching about 6.6 to the U.S. dollar. So I think the U.S. side needs to have some patience with China. And I also think over the medium to long term, say 3 to 5 years, the Chinese currency will actually strengthen quite substantially against the U.S. dollar.
Now, on broader issues, manufacturing accelerated in China for a second straight month in September. What do you take away from this? Is the economy headed for a soft landing?
Well, I don't think the economy is heading for a landing at all, because we're seeing very robust growth. In the first quarter of this year, we had some overheating of the economy. Since then, the economy is now growing basically around 8 to 9% on an annualized basis. And certainly the manufacturing sector is regaining strength from the weakness we saw in the second quarter. So I think the most important thing going forward for China is actually not the quantity of growth. It is actually the quality of growth.
Jing Ulrich, Chairman of China Equities, JPMorgan Chase. Good to talk to you. Thanks very much.